residents when the schedule's open. That's so nice.
Yeah.
It is.
Usually it's
So-
not a problem that somebody has a birthday party or
That
something.
is good.
In just a moment, I think we have some specific questions, but seriously, you don't necessarily have to comment on who's your favorite or who's the most trouble, but what about different characteristics, different how would we put this? What do you remember particularly?
What makes him who they are?
Yeah, that makes him
Curtis.
who he is as distinct from Mike, as distinct from me, as distinct from John. Anything in particular?
And have they always been that way?
I mean,
Don't start talking yet.
those that are quieter, those that are more rambunctious, those that read more, those that ask more questions, those that... Somebody asked me the other day, who's the most athletic of you four boys? And my first thought was, whichever one you're talking to. You know? I am. You're talking to me right now, I was. So,
But you're all forward.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
In different ways.
Yeah.
None of
Yeah.
them like, I mean, as far as in school, you know, Mike played football, Curtis he was a drum major. He was a majorette. What were you?
Major, yeah.
He was
A drum major.
He was a drum major.
But he probably matured faster than anybody else, I'll bet.
Well, he probably did.
Yeah, that being the firstborn.
He probably had, more adult people fooling with him more so than,
I mean, he was more of a father figure to me in some ways than Dad was. Of course, losing Dad as early as we did made a little difference there. But, so I'm sure he matured faster.
Curtis was quiet. We lived in duplex houses that people didn't even know we had a child in there. He was always quiet and not rambunctious. The only thing he would tell people, he got his curls at Bon Marché. Because Blanche worked there, and we got everything from Bon Marché, because Blanche worked there.
So his hair was
clothes.
long enough that it would curl.
Well, it was very curly, but we didn't let it, get really long. But everybody said, boy, where'd you get those great curls? Bon Marché. But, he was quiet. He didn't have the siblings
Yeah.
to run around.
Who told you the most lies?
That she knew about?
Yeah, that's when I started to tell him I weren't smart enough to keep up with everybody.
That's not what you told us.
She
Told
did.
us you always knew.
Yeah, she knew a lot more than.
There's not a good answer to that, huh?
He's gonna admit it right now.
Tell us about
Is
Christmas.
y'all alive?
Tell us about Christmas.
Look who's surprised.
Yes, John, just like you learned how to do very well on your own. Well, with us being basically 5 years apart each, we really weren't messing with one another.
You really did. You always played good together, and you always, you were.
I guess I'm thinking of as we got a little older, because he was gone early. He was gone before high school ended. I was gone before high school ended. So we really just wanted the younger one,
John was an
go
only
away,
child.
go away.
Poor John was picked on.
He was a cute.
Okay.
I remember Curtis taught me how to hunt, how
You
to walk,
tied him to the tree.
How to
I
walk.
guess
how
y'all
to
did
walk
pick
with your gun
him.
and don't look at your feet. Walk where you're going easy. He just come back from the Marines. And I looked at him like
Yeah.
They
So-
tied John to a
What'd you just say about somebody tying
You
one?
tied him to the tree.
I tied him to a tree?
Becky told me that.
I just remember what was it, the raisins or
No,
peanuts?
Red Hot's in his ears.
Red Hot's in
Washington
his
or
ears.
Denver?
Well, it was at the gully.
At the,
When-
oh, yeah.
At the gully.
Yeah.
They didn't want
That's
to
right.
go.
Yeah, that's what I said. We wanted that younger one. Go away. Go away.
Yes.
Yep.
Leave me
He
alone.
do that at Frisco football games, everywhere else I go, he push me away, get me out of here.
Francis
Sure.
style.
I remember,
That's why I didn't want Blue following me, see?
Yep.
I remember you saying one time Curtis came home from elementary school and was telling you he was all excited because he learned about this road, this highway that was going to go all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic. And you just laughed and you said, "Oh, honey, you've been reading those science fiction books again." Because you just couldn't imagine that.
I couldn't imagine it.
Oh,
I
God.
really couldn't. I
Yeah,
didn't believe it would ever happen.
yeah. Well, did you enjoy interacting with your children every day when they would come home? Yeah?
I hope I did. I don't know how much I interacted.
Did you read to them,
Did I read to
to us?
I
Yeah,
tried.
yeah.
I tried to take a part in it. They knew more than I did pretty soon. I couldn't do much with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of them like to read like you did.
Has he always liked to read, Paul? Yeah.
Absolutely. Always liked it.
Well,
I don't know how much of it he
well, the
remembered.
encyclopedia. Did you own a set of encyclopedias when Mike was young?
I got a divorce about it.
Because you wanted to buy a
Because it took me
set.
2 or 3 years or maybe longer to pay for it.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
important.
But did you buy it when Mike was young, or was I the first one to have that?
No, I bought them when he was young.
I know I was the first one to use them, but I just don't know.
It didn't help a whole lot.
They didn't have any pictures.
Well, they had plenty.
We didn't like the encyclopedia so much, we liked the childcraft books after. You know,
Yes,
they got all the children's poems and poetry and all that kind of stuff. We liked that.
All those books are wasted on Mike and I.
And to tell you the truth, I guess I kept them until, I probably kept them until Buddy and I married, and I was getting rid of some stuff.
Yeah.
But boy, I like they got a divorce over it.
Comer didn't want you
No
buying
telling.
those.
Oh, mercy, there's no telling how much I paid for them. I don't know if I paid interest on them or not.
Oh, I'm sure you did,
But,
yeah.
I paid a little bit at the time. But
Well, I
we-
think Lynn had a couple of things she wanted you to tell
I
about.
just wanted you to talk about Christmas, what kind of gifts you got at Christmas, and you talked about the candy and the Christmas doll.
Well, we never had a real stocking, that's for sure. Mom didn't have room to hang them up, I guess, around the fireplace,
11 of them.
where we thought.
That's a lot of stockings, that's right.
But we would use our shoes. We'd have to use our shoe and leave it sitting so that Santa could put our stuff in the shoe. And maybe we'd have a clean pair of socks, and there'd be of orange or apple.
Excuse me, you said clean. Do you mean new or do you mean clean? Pretty new.
A clean pair of socks, a new pair of socks.
Okay.
But we
All right.
had fruit and candy was the main thing, and of course, if we got, you know, if we got anything, it would be a new pair of socks or pair of underwear. We didn't get things.
That was the entire Christmas
That was
present.
it.
Was
Did
whatever.
you have a Christmas tree?
Sometimes, yes, after I remember going out with Daddy to gather the Christmas tree, and we'd do crepe paper and maybe popcorn or you know, some colored cloth that maybe we had dyed some different little things with to put on the tree and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we did.
Was there one of the aunts that would give you lots of candy in your shoe, or was it?
It was a friend.
Oh,
It was one of the neighbors. It was the girl that one of my brothers married, Earl, married. Her, she had an older brother, and it was her, and then she had 2 younger brothers. They didn't have parents. Mother or daddy lived, and they lived on the farm in one of the little farmhouses. And I went and spent Christmas Eve night with them at one time. And put my shoes off that night, went to bed, and of course I had nothing but candy the next morning. He just filled my shoe full of these round chocolate cream candies. And I love those things so much, and I had my bait off them then. I still see them at the store every once in a while. But he just filled my shoe full of candy. And then one time, I got a baby doll for Christmas, a small baby doll, not very big, but it had a really pretty face.
Was it
And-
store-bought?
Yes, it was a store-bought. And my brothers, one of them got mad with me, and we lived in the farm over in the field, and we had, so many old cows that we had to take care of. And didn't have nice barns for them, and that's why I don't like milk, sweet milk. They would smell so bad when it was raining. I couldn't stand sweet milk because we had to milk cows morning and evening. They'd switch them old tails and heads in
Smell.
the face, and they smelled terrible when it was wet. And, but anyway, Blue, I think it was Blue that took my baby doll after Christmas, and because he was mad at me, and we were, I guess, probably fighting with one another. And he took my baby doll and put it down in a pile of poop and just ruined it and ruined my baby. And I cried and I cried and I cried. I don't know.
No
if
one
it
tried to
got-
clean it up, or they just tossed it?
No, it was just messed up big time. But that's about the only, thing that I can remember that I really was mad about getting for Christmas. But we didn't get much Christmas.
Did you get your birthday celebrated? Did y'all have birthday cake or
Oh, no.
any presents on your birthdays?
No,
No.
not ever.
Did you know it was your birthday and they said happy birthday?
Probably. Yeah, we knew that.
Did you get to pick what you wanted for supper or anything special?
No, we had.
Yeah, she picked it. Whatever you want, you go pick it.
No, it weren't special. Nothing, no, we never had specials.
And I still want you to tell the Mitch story.
About Mitch,
The goat.
about
About him getting mad at,
about the riding on the wagon and wishing
yeah.
somebody would dead. Mitch was he was mean. Oh, he was mean.
And he stuttered too.
Anything, yeah, and he stuttered. He didn't speak real plain. But Ethel was already married at that time. We lived at Allentown. And most of the time, I stayed home to keep house and cook and clean yards and wash. And when it was wash day, one or two of the boys, one of them especially, had to stay and help me wash. The night before, we had to draw water or pump water and get everything ready. We'd have a tub to soak them in and wash them out, and 3 times to rinse. And then we'd have to put them in the wash pot and boil them. Well, all that had to be done the night before. But that particular day, we all had to go to the field and gather corn on the wagon. And they put those high sideboards, I guess they call them, on the wagon so we could haul corn in and put it in the barn. Ethel came up to help us, and she would take a group of us out to do, and maybe Daddy would take a group somewhere else, to do something. And we had gone out in the field and had that thing just piled up with hauling corn in. And Mitch and the brothers had been fighting and arguing and fighting and arguing. And we were all sitting on top of that big load of corn to go home and put it in the barn. So anyway, they were still arguing, and Mitch couldn't talk plain. So Ethel had gotten on to them and tried to settle them down a long time, but we were all sitting up there, and Ethel said to him, he was aggravating Blue, him and Blue was fighting and so forth. So Ethel said, Mitch, said, behave yourself, said, quit doing that now, said, you might make him fall off this wagon and it would kill him. This wagon would run over him and kill him. He said, me don't care, me wish the little son of a bitch would fall off of this wagon, run over him and kill him. The little son of a bitch, me don't Well, he couldn't have been more than 12, 13, some 14, something like that, you know.
And Mitch doesn't want that story on tape, I can tell you that.
Then one time we were all out in the barn shelling corn and stuff because when the weather was bad, we had to do something. So we were in the barn shelling the corn off we could shuck it and put it in a thing to shell it for seed or to feed for take to the thing and have it ground for cow feed or something. So we were out there. Well, I think he mentioned this when he was home. He was always doing something, always doing something. And of course the chickens were all around the barn and everything. And Mama had real special chickens that she wanted to keep, you know, and let them grow up for roosters or hens. And he just kept throwing. And one of Mama's favorite chickens come by, and he threw that corn cob at that chicken, and he just fell over, just killed him. He thought dead. So one of my other brothers was out there, and he said, Pito, they called him Pito then. Pito, what happened to that chicken over there? Me don't know, me working, one hand pecked him. Say he killed him, and he threw it. Oh, he was so mean. Mom and Daddy would leave us home to do the work. They told us what we were to do every Saturday. They had to go to town on Saturday because we didn't have a car. And the school bus would go by certain places and pick people up to go to town. And you'd go to town, 9 o'clock, you might not come back till 3 that afternoon.
Like the senior bus at the
That's
senior
right.
center.
And so they would go and tell us what we were to do that day, and it was to work. And
They were probably going to the movies.
We're getting away from these little kids.
Anyway, Mama would always have enough biscuit left, you know, and we'd have plenty of meat. Whatever she had cooked for us is what we would eat that day. And so one time we were out there, Mitch would always get mad with us. Always. He was so mean. And one day he got mad and left us and run home, and whether he ate them or not, he'd take the rest of the stuff and he'd throw it to the dogs. He would throw the biscuit to the dogs. We come home one day and he was so mad with us, he got the butcher knives, a butcher knife, and he had us scared to death. He wouldn't let us eat. He had us crawling up under, you know, our houses stood up like this. And we could crawl into the house to get away from him. And he'd do whatever he wanted to with us when we come out. But he was so mean. And he don't remember any of it, he says.
I wouldn't either.
Well, you said he cried all the time too when he was little, right? Didn't you end up, was he the one that you ended up taking care of when he was a baby because he always wanted attention?
No, I think it was Arlie.
It was Arlie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Arlie was crying. What little bit of sneak sugar and put in a little sugar tin, tied up with a rag, give it to him at night because I'd have to take care of him, you know, when Mama
This is when he was
pregnant
little.
with Lucy, yeah. And I'd get a sugar tin and tie it up in a
Medicaid.
rag and give it to him at night. Yeah.
Just a cube of sugar?
Just what?
A cube of sugar?
No, just sugar out in a
Just sugar in it.
bag tied up in a little ball so he
Like a
could
handkerchief
suck
or
on it.
something?
Yeah, so he could suck on it.
Yeah,
And when you guys were kids, your grandma or your dad